My mother's fiancé stole my $7,000 college savings and my family used ... When my mom first met Ethan, I thought it was great. She deserved to be happy again after everything we'd been through. My dad had passed away 5 years ago, leaving her a widow in her 40s with me, her only child, to raise alone. Ethan seemed perfect for her, charming, kind, and attentive. But little did I know that he would soon turn our lives upside down. It began innocently enough. Ethan would ask me about my job at the local bookstore, always seeming genuinely interested in how much I was saving for college. At the time, I didn't think much of it. I had been diligently saving every cent I earned over the past 3 years. I had worked weekends, holidays, and every spare moment to amass a savings of $7,000. That money was my ticket to a better future, a way out of this small town. But then, one day everything changed. I was getting ready for school when I decided to check my bank account balance. As the page loaded, my heart dropped. My entire savings, every single dollar, was gone. I stared at the screen, blinking rapidly, hoping it was some kind of mistake. I refreshed the page, but the numbers didn't change. Panicking, I immediately called the bank. "There's been a mistake," I told the customer service agent frantically. "All my money is gone." The agent sounded calm, annoyingly so, as he asked me a series of security questions. "Yes, I see a withdrawal of $7,000 was made 2 days ago in cash," he finally informed me. "That can't be." "I didn't make any withdrawal," I exclaimed, feeling tears of frustration and fear pricking my eyes. The agent continued, "The withdrawal was made at your local branch, and it was signed with authorization. I'm sorry, but the transaction appears to be valid from our end." "But whose signature?" I pressed, my mind racing. "It appears to be your mother's," he replied. My heart sank. I couldn't believe it. I immediately hung up the phone and ran downstairs, where my mom, Amina, was in the kitchen, making breakfast. "Mom, did you take my college savings?" I blurted out, not bothering to soften my voice. She looked up, startled. "What? No, why would I do that?" "The bank says it was withdrawn with your signature," I almost shouted. $7,000 gone? Did Ethan have anything to do with this? A flash of confusion crossed her face. "No, I don't think so. Ethan wouldn't do that, would he?" I could see doubt creeping into her expression. "Mom, you need to ask him," I insisted. "This is my future we're talking about." She nodded, her hands trembling. "Okay, Layla, I'll talk to him today." That evening, I paced the living room, waiting for Ethan to come over. When he finally arrived, he wore his usual confident smile, but it looked forced. "What's this about money?" he asked, his tone light. I didn't waste any time. "Did you take my savings, Ethan?" I demanded, crossing my arms. Ethan laughed, but it sounded hollow. "Layla, why would I do that? I don't need your money." I wasn't buying it. "Mom said you were talking about needing funds a few days ago," I pressed. "So did you take it or not?" He feigned shock. "Of course not. Amina, you know me better than that, right?" Mom seemed torn, glancing between us. "Ethan, just tell the truth," she pleaded softly. Ethan sighed dramatically. "Fine, if you must know, I did mention to Amina that I needed some money for a business deal, but I didn't take anything from Layla. I would never do that." I could feel my blood boiling. "Then why is my money gone?" I shouted. "Why was it signed with Mom's name?" Ethan raised his hands defensively. "Look, I don't know. Maybe someone forged it. But it wasn't me, I swear." I turned to Mom, who was watching Ethan with a troubled expression. "Mom, please, we need to go to the police," I urged. Mom hesitated, then shook her head slowly. "Layla, let me talk to him first, privately. I'm sure there's some explanation." I couldn't believe it. She was protecting him. "Are you serious?" I cried. "He's obviously lying." Ethan looked hurt, putting a hand on his heart. "I'd never lie to you, Amina. Never." Mom seemed to soften at his words. "Just give me some time, Layla," she said. "I'll figure this out." Feeling defeated, I stormed out of the house and went for a long walk. I needed to clear my head. It felt like everything was spiraling out of control. When I returned, Ethan was gone, and Mom was sitting at the kitchen table, looking distraught. "I talked to him," she said quietly when I entered. "He swears he didn't take it. But, Layla, I think he might be hiding something." I nodded, relieved she was finally starting to see reason. "Mom, we need to get to the bottom of this." The next few days were a blur of tension. Mom barely spoke to Ethan, and when she did, it was cold and curt. I kept my distance from both of them, spending most of my time at school or with friends. But I was determined not to let this go. I started digging into Ethan's background, searching online for any dirt I could find. To my surprise, I discovered a few financial disputes he'd been involved in a couple of years ago, but nothing conclusive. I decided to visit the bank in person, hoping to find out more about the withdrawal. At the bank, the manager, Mr. Khan, was sympathetic but firm. "I'm sorry, Layla, but without more proof, there's not much we can do. The signature matches, and the withdrawal was authorized." I left the bank feeling frustrated but more determined than ever. I knew Ethan was hiding something, and I was going to find out what. Then, a few days later, I overheard Ethan talking to someone on the phone in our living room. He didn't know I was in the hallway listening. "I told you, I'm handling it," he whispered harshly. "I just need a little more time." No, she doesn't suspect anything, yet. My heart raced. He was definitely up to something. Finally, I had enough. I took the recordings to the police, along with the bank's withdrawal statement. They agreed to investigate. Meanwhile, Ethan must have sensed that something was wrong because he began acting more nervous, avoiding eye contact and leaving the house as quickly as possible whenever I was around. Mom seemed torn between confronting him and denying the truth staring her in the face. Then, one day, everything came to a head. Ethan was over for dinner, and I decided I couldn't take it anymore. "Mom, we need to talk," I said, my voice shaking with anger. "Ethan's been lying to us. I have proof." Ethan turned pale. "What are you talking about?" he stammered. I played one of the recordings on my phone, where he was discussing his financial woes with someone over the phone. "You stole my money to pay off your debts, didn't you?" I accused. Ethan's face twisted with rage. "You little snoop," he yelled. "How dare you spy on me?" Mom looked horrified, glancing between us. "Ethan, is this true?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. He hesitated for a moment, and then, as if realizing he had no way out, he snapped. "Fine. Yes, I took the money. I needed it. But I was going to pay it back." I felt a surge of vindication, but also a deep sadness. Mom covered her mouth, tears streaming down her face. "How could you, Ethan? How could you betray us like this?" Ethan tried to reach out to her, but she pulled away. "Get out," she said, her voice steady, but filled with pain. "Get out of our lives." Ethan left that night, cursing under his breath. We never saw him again. The police investigation went forward, and Ethan was charged with theft and fraud. The court ordered him to repay the stolen money, but it would take time. For now, my college savings were gone, but I felt a strange sense of relief. The truth was out, and Mom and I could finally start to heal. In the weeks that followed, Mom and I began to rebuild our relationship. She apologized for not seeing Ethan's deceit sooner and promised to make things right. She even took on a second job to help me rebuild my college fund. Though the road ahead was uncertain, I knew one thing: I wasn't alone anymore. Mom and I were a team, and together, we could face anything.